What's up, traders? Welcome back to another market outlook, another market analysis. For this week, we're going to be covering from the 17th, with this today, the Sunday through Friday. You guys know how we usually do this, right? We're going to be covering what we're looking at for the week, what type of setups we're looking at for the week, what direction we can expect for these markets to go, and how we're going to move according to what we see based on our analysis and based on news. Speaking of news, we can go ahead and see what's going on for this week. I already have it pulled up. So essentially what we do have, I say some of the biggest things, we do have CPI on Wednesday for the pound and Canadian. We did have CPI for the US dollar this past week, and we've seen what that did to the markets, right? We've seen a lot of manipulations last week, and we'll talk about that in relation to how we're going to play the market as we go into this week. But for the rest of the week, we've got a lot of Euro news, so we're going to be seeing a lot of volatility out of most of these pairs. I don't see a lot of USD news. I don't see a lot of dollar news this week. We do have some on Friday. I'm pretty sure it's not going to really cause anything huge, but we might see a little price action here and there. But you guys can see that we have a lot of volatility, and this is a good thing. Honestly, guys, seeing all this news here is a good thing because we're going to see the markets move a lot faster. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it, starting off with DXY. As you guys know how I feel about DXY, DXY is still bullish. It hasn't given me any reason to expect any sales yet. I believe last week I talked about this possible distribution that was occurring right here, but we've seen that just turn out to be a reaccumulation. We just continue towards the upside. Now we see that CPI right here from last week went ahead and just created another reaccumulation, right? So essentially what I'm looking for now is I want to see if we can go ahead and mitigate this huge manipulation from the news, maybe get an accumulation in here, and then we'll see the market go higher. So we have two scenarios here. We have the scenario where we just mitigate this current reaccumulation right here and we continue higher as DXY has been going, or we can finally see our first distribution, because as you guys can see, we have a couple of drives towards the upside. So all we need to do is break this low. If we do break this low, then we could possibly see a mitigation, and then we continue down into where, we have so much places that we could target. We have here that we can come into. We have, let's see, even if the market decides to proceed further lower, we have this area, we have this area, we have this huge reaccumulation that's never been mitigated. So we have a lot of demand that DXY could go into, but it's not going to be surprising if we finally do see a retracement on DXY. Okay, we haven't seen any forms of an actual pullback yet, so we can expect that to happen, but we have to wait until we see the confirmation, right? We have to invalidate some type of demand, and we just simply have not done that yet. So as soon as we break this low, if we do break this low, that'll be our first indication of invalidation of demand, and that'll finally tell us that actually some type of sellers are interested in the market. After we see that interest of sellers, we'll just have to confirm that they actually want to sell the market. Well, how do we do that? Well, if this becomes a distribution, then of course we're going to expect a redistribution, right? Once we see that market cycle starts to happen, that's when we know that sellers are actually interested in getting an actual pullback on DXY. So what does that mean for EU? Well, as you guys know, EU is at a pretty low price point right now, okay? When is the last time we've seen EU this low? We're at this 1.00000 level, right? As you guys know, these are major levels in the market, so we could see a reversal at this level. I'm already starting to see an accumulation, so it's the opposite of DXY, but as you guys know, we have to break this high before we can confirm that accumulation, right? Once we break this high, that'll confirm that we actually have some type of buyers getting into the market here. Then we can start looking for potential reversal entries towards the upside. So for those of you in the mentorship, we know how to take advantage of the reversals, and we know how to play these reversals the proper way. All right, so until further then, guys, just be on the lookout for potential reversals on EU. If we do break this high, that'll be a huge sign that we have some type of buyer's interest, and we could see a potential reversal on this market. GU is still bearish for me. It hasn't given me any reason to buy it yet. As you guys know, it's going to be the same thing for most of these markets. As I go down the list, we have CPI right here that created this huge manipulation. So essentially we broke this low breaking structure. So this is technically what is holding us bearish right now. So essentially what I'm looking for is I'm just going to be waiting for us to come a little bit higher and give us a distribution towards the downside. I'm just going to be looking for those sells until the market proves to me it doesn't want to sell. So if we just go ahead and let's say we break this high right here, then I'm going to be looking for sells out of here, looking for sells out of here, potentially looking for sells out of here. I mean, the list just goes on, looking for sells out of there, looking for sells out of there. And also, right, we could also be playing these potential reversal opportunities if the market wants to give that while we're going to the upside, targeting these supply zones. So moving on to AU, guys, as we talked about for the last couple of weeks on AU, we've been seeing this clean supply train that's been going on. The market has just been creating supply, mitigating, creating supply, mitigating, as you guys see right here, mitigation down, mitigation down. And so essentially we're just going to continue this trend down, right? We're going to continue this trend down. Our latest supply zone that we have is this area right here, this distribution, this huge manipulation, right? So essentially what I'm waiting for, as you guys should know, pretty easy. We're going to wait for the market to come inside this area, wait for those lower time frame confirmations, wait for those lower time frame entries to give us a reason to sell this market from here. We want to validate that this area is still has some type of sellers within here that wants to continue this market lower. All right, so on the opposite side, right, because we have to talk about the possible reversals. Now on AU, we still have not seen a huge pullback as well. So understand that we could potentially, let's say we break this supply zone. Once we break that supply zone, that's going to indicate to us that we're seeing a reversal on here. So pullbacks do happen in the market. So don't be surprised when a pullback happens in the market, right? So if we do get that, then we can expect the market to retrace, targeting higher areas of supply, potentially getting back all the way into our leg. So we have to understand how to adapt to these markets, guys. We have to understand how to trade these reversals. We have to understand when to expect a reversal, why we should expect reversals, and to not be caught off guard. All right, guys, so moving on to USDJPY. USDJPY is the same thing as it has been for the past couple months. This market is still bullish. We have no reason to sell this at the moment. It's not showing us any signs of selling pressure at all. After we had this fake distribution that turned into a reaccumulation, we knew that this market was going to continue higher for a little bit more. Okay, so essentially what we've gotten after that, we've gotten this accumulation with this manipulation here. Market broke this high, we came back down, we mitigated this area, and from then on, we've just been reaccumulating towards the upside. So essentially our latest plays that we could potentially catch on this market is going to be one of two things. The first thing I'm looking for is the most optimal entry is going to be for this market to come down here and give us an entry within this area. The second option that we're going to be looking for on UJ is to get a reaccumulation towards the upside. All right, those are the two ways I'm going to play this market. I'm not looking to sell this market. That'd be the dumbest thing ever. So we're looking for buys on UJ. All right, it's that simple. Either we're going to come inside of here or we're going to create another area of demand within here that we could play out of. Okay, that's simple, guys. Look for buys on UJ. It hasn't given us any reason to sell it, so don't try to sell it. All right. So moving on to USDCAD. So USDCAD was pretty interesting last week. We know we had these two areas right here. We had this area that I talked about that we could potentially see the market come down into. We did give a decent retracement, but we didn't reach down here. We actually reaccumulated after we had CPI. So essentially what we're doing right now is we are within this area here that we're going to be looking for buys. Now, this is a huge area. So understand, until we break this low, I am looking for buys. Now, I do have this tiny candle. The reason why I even have this tiny candle here is because it is London open. It's more of a precise point of interest, but I do understand that this market could go lower and accumulate and it still be valid, because this right here is the huge manipulation that we're mitigating. Okay, so just understand that I'm looking for entries within this huge area. I might have precise point of interest that I want to zoom into, but as long as we stay within this zone right here and we get that lower time frame entry, we get that accumulation, we're gonna buy this. All right, so pretty simple on USDCAD. As you guys know, we are bullish on this market as of right now, so no reason to look for any sales, guys. So essentially, as you guys know, on EURUSD, we are bearish. All right, we've been seeing a lot of the same thing, right? Mitigation of supply. And this was our last recent supply area that we're waiting for the market to come into. As you can see, we are approaching that area right now. I'm looking for us to get to the 50% of this used manipulation. So pretty simple. We're going to wait for this market to come in here, maybe get a couple drives, get a change of character, right? Find that sponsor candle, and then we just continue the market down. Pretty easy setup, pretty simple on ACAD. All right. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin before I wrap things up. Now, I've been seeing Bitcoin do something good. And what I mean by something good is we actually started ranging. So that's a very good thing. Okay, as you guys know, a range is a very good thing. A range indicates one or two things. Since we are inside of a bearish market right now, and the market is bearish, this indicates either a redistribution, right? This is either going to be one of two things, guys. This is either going to be a redistribution, so another redistribution towards the downside, or we can accumulate right here. Now, I'll tell you one thing. Depending on how the price action plays here, we're going to know whether it's going to be an accumulation or a redistribution. Based off right now, we can't tell. We haven't gotten any manipulations yet. We haven't seen any manipulations of lows, any manipulations of highs. So we got to see which part of this range is the market playing the most. And that's going to tell us whether this is going to be an accumulation or not. So simply put, let's say, right, this is going to be our selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test, right? So in order for this to be an accumulation that we want to see, we have to see a manipulation of these lows, getting our STMB. Once we get that, we need to see a reasonable pullback that shows us buyers are actually interested. So once this STMB happens with this manipulation of these lows, right, we have to see a reasonable pullback from this STMB back into our range. Once that happens, we could potentially get our final spring. All right, this is the way that I'd play this. And honestly, if something like this happens, this will confirm an accumulation for me. So this is how I want to see an accumulation happens. We have to get a reasonable sized accumulation. And that's why I like this range, because it's spanned out longer. Okay, the longer schematics are going to create the bigger moves because it takes a lot more money. So basically what's happening here is we have an exchange going between buyers and sellers. That's what's going on here. Right now, it doesn't look like it, but wait till this market starts moving a little bit more. Wait till you see this range start playing a little bit more. You're going to see those manipulations start happening, and that's going to tell us whether this is going to be a seller's market again, or we're going to actually see some buyers take over. Okay, guys? So let's just be patient. And this is a good thing. This is a good sign that the market is slowing down, especially after this huge sell-off like this, right? That's a good thing. We're seeing another range. So just keep a watch on this. Do not ape in yet. Do not, go ahead and put your whole entire savings into Bitcoin. Relax. All right. The time is not now. We'll know when the time is. All right, guys. So just be careful and just keep a lookout on Bitcoin. And I know one of my students, Derwin, is watching this. I'm not sure if he's playing the lower time frame inside of it. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. But I know he's watching this and he's catching on to what's happening right here. I'm going to talk to him a little bit more to see what his outlook on this is. Is it going to be another redistro, or does he assume that it's going to be an accumulation? All right, but that's simply it, guys. That's simply it for this market analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any recommendations on any pairs that you want me to look at for you, or whatever the case may be, let me know in the comment section. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.